afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another bout of Propagandacast news from the host and Pearl Lane, the one and only trusted news source you can actually rely on this modern age of madness, chaos, and other naughty things. And we're off here to a surprise announcement we got here suddenly, the September 2019 patch preview, meaning, of course, well, there's a patch hopefully hitting 2019. There'll be some testing here, which we'll try it out, and so, of course, give feedback. Here's sort of a rough sort of overlook at what the patch has, with some thoughts along there and what I might also like to see. But overall, I would say generally it actually looks positive. There's definitely some things I wanted for some time that are actually happening, so 2 thumbs up. Then there's some changes I feel like need a bit more work, and there's one particular element I feel like they probably need to look at as well, but I'll get to that once we've sort of done through most of the stuff. Overall, some of the bigger changes are basically heavy call-in, sort of tanks changes there. Basically, all of them will, if not all of them, most of them will require now command points. They can also thus be called in faster, so they have to lower it, but they can require tech. That's sort of more what I meant. But so for example, target tank will be much more easily accessible. IS-2s, KV-2s, command panthers. Well, I think the command panther might not be as easily. Pershing, so on there. We'll of course get through that, so there'll be more details with each of them. Plus, all going to have like sort of the AOE standardized bureau rule more effective, though not quite as splat-tastic, but then they're going to more effectively just generally deal damage that way, being more of an actual hazard to infantry. Though the Pershing already was, so I guess that'll be sort of roughly the same, maybe. That's all. Your master is speaking. Anyways, medics have also apparently been sort of improved a bit. They sort of make them move a bit faster about this, so that happens a bit faster. That's nice. And then we go on to some of the bigger changes. The Oberkommando West is receiving some larger changes. They're sort of getting nerfed a bit, and they're all changed a bit there since, it kind of was beginning to become very much similar to how pretty much everyone knew that song and dance. Get a bunch of Volksgrenadiers, Lux, Puma, stole for the command panther. It's just, blah. So they'd obviously changed that. They're sort of lowering down the initial power level of the Oberkommando West to sort of, slightly smoothen things out and sort of, Spassler's apparently not a fan of the Oberkommando West changes personally. I mean, he's just a cat. And I guess he also just liked cheesing it out with the Volksgrenadiers, the little shit. But anyways, they're sort of, smoothing out. They're giving the sort of bit more power mid-game, which was sort of previously the issue. They sort of had a very strong start, and then they sort of stalled a bit, which could be a problem. And then sort of, this sort of kind of fixes A, they just sort of stood up very strongly, but, slightly gives them a better mid-game curve in a sense. That's sort of at least the theory there. We'll have to see, of course, how it works out. Basically, they get lower starting resources, but the trucks cost less, so in that sense, you can sort of mostly get them. Plus, of course, Volksgrenadiers there will also see some changes sort of hinting at that, or straight up telling us, but not quite there. Another big one is the Schwere Panzerquarters. It basically gets a lot cheaper now, but you can then only starting out there get the Obersoldaten now and a doctrinal Hetzer. But then it does mean the Obersoldaten are much more immediately accessible. And like, if you ever go for Force Room, you can now rush out the Hetzer, I guess. Yay. Of course, the other stuff there's now then hidden behind another upgrade. So overall, sort of switching the upgrades there. Plus, the flak bit there on it as well also requires that upgrade. And if you lose it, you got to repurchase as well, though. So you can't just sort of skip that, and it's required for all the heavy tank call-ins, as you can see there. So, I mean, again, they're trying to make the Obersoldaten more accessible, since Obersoldaten really, aren't seeing a lot of usage compared to Volksgrenadiers. Again, that's part of it. It's just Volksgrenadiers being really, really good. So let's move on here. Volksgrenadiers now cost slightly more. They've gone from 250 to 260. Even that may not seem a lot, but it can suddenly add a bit there, sort of in just how many want to get it out, and particularly also like have some other changes there. Additionally, there's of course more changes. Sturmpioneer veterans requirement changes actually being lowered, notably. That's actually one of the big issues. Like, they just veterans up so slowly. That's actually a big issue for a lot of the Oberkommando West units, particularly after a lot of the veterans bonus anyways were nerfed. Like, it took too goddamn long to like get them anywhere. So, I mean, this is something that was been sorely needed to like make anything else in the Oberkommando West, worth it, because that was also one reason why the Volksgrenadiers are good. Like, they actually veterancy are veteran up at a steady pace, whereas again everything else like veterancy is up, like Hermann Goering is just eating up the experience. It's like some sort of just bottomless pits there, and it's just like it doesn't make any sense. So that's just a huge one there. Like, they just veterancy up faster. Additionally, the Veterancy 4 bonus, which means they fight a lot better, has moved to Veterancy 3, and then their sort of constructor and repair bonus moved to Veterancy 4 instead, meaning they all become better in combat faster. Because again, they get to Veterancy 3, so that way get it faster. But again, they also just hit Veterancy 3 faster. plus the concussor grenades now been moved to Veterancy 1, so they can actually use that sort of disrupt the enemy position better, faster. So in this regard, they do become a lot more combat oriented. You can sort of probably pull off Stone Pioneer oriented strategies better. I mean, you're probably not going to go all in on them, but at least if you do try it, you won't be, as harshly punished, and so they flow better. Again, if you get them to Veterancy fast again, they do become a lot better. So once that gets in there, so I'm liking that one. Additionally, they're lowering the veteran requirements again on the MD Fed 4, suddenly again to the rest. It took too goddamn long. Finally, we also get to the Kubelwagen here. They are lowering its health for giving and received damage modifiers, so it was faster repair. Meaning they're not really fixing the veterans requirements, and a lot of them are kind of rubbish. Like, again, they need to fix the veterans requirements of the Kubelwagen as well. Like, those are way too high, and again, in a lot of cases, they don't do a lot. So that needs to be, I think, more seriously overhauled. Kettenwerfer, they're making it more range, making it slightly harder to kill by giving more men, but on there removing the retreat function. The function is more like a regular anti-tank gun, just not quite nearly as good, and it also can't auto camouflage. I mean, it makes it less of a pain in the ass for the opponent to deal with. It also makes it in some ways less of a pain in the ass for you to use, but overall I'm not entirely sure what to make of this beyond that. It could go either way, and overall this, again, it sort of relates to the sort of major point I want to make, but I'm not entirely sure overall anti-tank gun should be super effective and should need to make this. I'm not entirely sure about this one, but we'll get to that. Then they got the flak half-track, slightly cheaper, and its veterans bonus on Veteran 5 moved to Veteran 3. I think that's a sort of offensive bonus as well, whereas again the other bonus then shifted up, making that sense again theoretically a bit more punchy, which is good. Though again, the overall veterans requirements sort of remain the same. Then we move on to the King Tiger. So there's some bigger stuff there. Overall, again, the whole AoE standardization, basically meaning that again, while it's straight up, like direct hits, not going to murder stuff. Again, units around it, but overall, units will be a bit more of a danger zone. So again, while it doesn't immediately as much as kills, really bunched up stuff, again, more spread out units do, become more threatened by it, plus support weapons and a tank guns being its overall better sort of clearing out, dug in positions, and just clumps of infantry blobs would also be more hurt by it. So this is, better. And again, scatter angle means it's just more effective versus, infantry in general. It just hits them more accurately. Plus spearhead to veterans 1. Combat blitz to veterans 3. Yeah, I'm actually not too bothered by that. I mean, I think Spearhead is actually better than Combat Blitz. The Combat Blitz is good, but on the King Tiger, and you just get that faster turret rotation. You get that suppressor fire on the machine gun. Again, that's good. There's a reason why they, moved it from the Tiger Ace to Veteran 2 after some of the people who asked, hey, this ability is actually good. So, yes, this is good. I like it. Plus, of course, that gets lower veterans requirements as well. Excellent. Again, that was, a problem there as well with the King Tiger. It just took, you rarely have ever saw a Veteran 5 King Tiger because it just took a millennium to get there. So, definitely a plus there. Opal Blitz, hey, that gets a buff as well. It's less company point requirements. Nice. Has ambulance healing ability. Can heal troops around it. Nice. It moves faster. Good. Rotates faster against it. It moves faster. And it's a bit cheaper on fuel. I mean, I'm not entirely sure that's going to make it wildly more accessible, but it certainly opens up for more strategic options. So, I mean, who knows? I can't quite put my finger on this one. It could work, it may not work, but it definitely is an attempt to make it more useful. Part of me thinks they might want to just lower the fuel cost a bit further. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Line for gun, incendiary barrage, made overall more effective. That's nice. Flam headset, lower veterans requirements. Might work, might not. I mean, it's not really like a lot of people use Firestorm in the first place, and the Flamheads is not exactly a high deal on most people's, lists. I don't think the veterans requirement's going to help much there, honestly. I mean, it needs to do more damage or something in the first place. Overwatch flares being changed, a bit too effective there, so now basically have to plan them, though they do cost nothing, so it does require more, actual involvement from the players to make use of them. Can still be pretty good. This one's also interesting, radio silence. Now, it costs more, but then it actually gives your infantry a bit of a boost. They can use more offensively, more aggressively. I like this, and certainly could make overall the ability more attractive. Of course, it also kind of makes just the rest of the doctrine much more effective. So I feel like they might actually want to move radio silence somewhere else rather than stick it still in Spec Ops. Just maybe. Command Panther basically now requires 9 command pods, actually lowering, but of course you now require the Shroud Punted Quarters of the whole stall strategy and just not taking up. No good. On the hand, they do make it a bit cheaper, and then they also lower the line of sight, so you can't easily just see as far ahead there. So, overall they don't change a lot, but still make it a bit hard to just pull off the stall. And I guess they still keep the Doctrine reasonably attractive by, sprint. And again, I think that's going to, for those who remember to use that, it's going to be pretty good. Infiltration gauge seems slightly more expensive. Makes sense. I mean, it's still at 20 munitions, an absolute steal. I mean, you're still paying less than a regular grenade, and you're just getting so many grenades. I mean, it's going to make it a bit hard to spam, but overall, it's still going to be used. It's still really good. Sturm Tiger now requires 8 command points, and the Schwer Punch with the Panzer authorization. Yeah, that's not going to make much of a change. Then, of course, we got another big one here. We got the Fallschirmjäger. I mean, overall, the Oberkommando is really getting one of the big ones. They cost less now. They can be faster called in. They drop in with the K9 TKs. The question is which ones. I hope it's the Obersoldaten one, since I think they're making it a bit more attractive. But no, still. Starting out, they can upgrade with 2 of them for free anyway, so you're like, nice. I mean, they'll still sort of be reasonably good, and they can sort of upgrade on their own. After you get the Schwer Panzer Corps upgrade, you can sort of get the other 2 for 60 munitions. And they're also buffing the Fallschirmjägers, so, they do more damage at mid-range, so they do punch harder and they do kill more. And they also basically get a buff to the veterans, including apparently a 50% first strike bonus. I mean, they're going to absolutely hurt hard. I hit hard there with all the FT42s and all the rest of it, and they just probably, kill some stuff. So this should make Fallschirmjägers overall a lot more attractive, and particularly then combine it maybe with a Valiant Assault. Oh boy, that's going to be nice. I mean, uncomfortable for the Allies. And then we get Sector Assault, an ability which has been overperforming, still gets a lot of usage. That's going to be sort of nerfed in terms of the suppressor ability. And then we hit Assault Artillery. That's nice. What we're seeing here is basically it now doesn't have to be a specific sector, and certainly around the point. It can still be used more generally. It has artillery, and then the smoke sort of hits at a longer range around it, so it's just more useful, I would say. The problem is, again, it's just like you had to hope the opponent was around the bloody strategic point with anything they had, otherwise it was useless. This makes it a better, making breakthrough much better. Additionally, the Sturm Officer is getting an overhaul there. He's being a bit harder to hit. He loses the aura, but of course you still got the ability to use, and they're still pretty good. Plus, he's already being made much better. Like, you can sort of make the ability cheaper. He can run bigger. Plus, he can use the ability far away. He gets some nice offensive bonuses. And he can get an assault rifle down the road. So, plus he shares veterans. He can that way veterans you up faster overall. So, I like this. Plus, you also lose the retreat on thing there. So, I mean, that's going to make him better, and that's going to make breakthrough better as well, alongside assault artillery being better on top of the other, better panzer facilities. So, I'm liking this. You're still also a unit I like to use, but again, there were some issues there, and certainly all of this should certainly give him a bit more punch. Command Tiger, like the rest there, get some change. In fact, it also now requires even less experience to veterans up there. Plus, of course, it sort of gets that again LE stuff there. So again, it just punches harder, and again, units sort of in a larger radius takes nasty hits. So that's good. Thorough salvage happens faster. And we move on to the Brits. Infantry sections. Infantry sections have been identified to be slightly overperforming. Slightly overperforming. That's one of the big understatements I've been seen in some time. That's sort of roughly describing as the Italian effort in North Africa as slightly ineffective. Oh goodness, have been identified to be slightly overperforming. Anyways. So what's happening there? I mean, they're overall blowing the damage, and they're sort of making them less good at Al-Qaeda, which was really one of the issues. Like, they were just way too good at Al-Qaeda. I mean, they do become more accurate, but again, like, they could run around out Al-Qaeda and just, shoot at everything, and they just did a lot of damage. They were just like the super blah 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 infantry. I mean, this probably won't fix everything, but you're not going to see them just running about out in the open, just, avoiding getting shot at so much. That'll certainly give you more ability to punish them, hurt them, and certainly also make sort of different types of units and vehicles better against them. So that should, I think, at least to an extent, stall the Brit blob. I don't think it's going to entirely remove it. It might also force them to make use of the Bren guns more and other abilities. So I'm overall liking this. I mean, we'll have to see how overall effective it is, but overall, I'm liking this. This looks good. At least they're finally doing something substantial about the infantry section, which they only should have been done like ages ago. Because more suppression. Yeah, I mean, it's better, but I don't think we fixed the core issue, which is the same as the MG42 for the round, which is it's too bloody slow. You just can't keep up with the infantry. It's just too sluggish in a lot of cases. So, you know, I think it's still going to be a lot of infantry spam, but, you know, it might still make it more attractive, and then might, you know, see more usage overall. Sniper shoots faster. No, I don't like that. I mean, overall, I just think sniper should go away personally, so, yeah. I mean, I understand the purpose of balancing, but, you know, you could also balance them by just removing them from all factions, just going, well, trash is out, let's just focus on making the rest of the game good now that the trash is out. That's just me. Moving on to Comet. Yeah, the Comet Sun has been less impressive for some time, and this should definitely help it. It gets cheaper in terms of manpower, not a lot, but still a bit. It gets less scatter, and of course it gets sort of the AoE business. The rest of sort of heavy armor happen not quite as much still. What it does mean, it all becomes better versus infantry, and it now shoots faster at Veterancy 3 as well. That's nice. It was actually, I think, one of the tanks that really didn't get a lot of like direct combat bonuses with the end of the Veterancy. That all helps make it a bit better. Plus, there's heavy crash, so I mean, this should overall make the Comet more attractive, but without necessarily making it like super potent. Like, because at this stage, most people just go for the Churchill tank because why go for the Comet? So yeah, that makes sense. Cromwell buffed a bit there, a bit harder to hit, moves faster. Yeah, I feel like Cromwells were reasonably used, but maybe not. Firefly gets buffed. Not a lot, but I'm still not super sure on that one. Maybe again, if like they do something about anti-tank guns, but I mean, we'll have to see. Churchill, they're slightly upping the population, and they move the grenade from veteran 0 to veteran 1. I mean, I feel like the Churchill is just, again, it's too tough, too good, and I feel like this doesn't really change anything sort of seriously. I mean, a bit of population extra still, you know, has a difference, but I feel like they still need to look into like either its extreme health or armor or some, well, basically the health life. It can soak up too much, I think that's sort of cost and level and all that, but I don't know. Emplacements, nothing really happening except they can be deconstructed. I don't know. I feel like you can sort of allow blobs or SimCity to sort of react better to the opponent's tries to shift the weight of the attack. Definitely not a fan of that one, and they're just basically sort of adding requirements as to the Churchill and Churchill AoE, and that it means, you know, you have to like the final tier and then Amble Hammer tactics. I don't think that's going to change much, and I still feel like, and I actually feel like they might want to actually look into the Crocodile, because again, that one is also really popular. And I'm just all into it. So I feel like this, again, infantry section nerf, good. Again, that's going to have some impacts. Of course, the rest might, of course, be sort of justified. We'll have to see, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. That feels a tad ineffective. Jackson getting a slight fuel increase. I don't know if I feel like it's the most effective way of like dealing with it. I've honestly just suggest slowing its health, because right now it's just like a really good tank that can just soak up a lot of damage. Of course, it sucks as infantry, but it's really good versus other tanks, and like this doesn't really fix that. It's just really cost efficient versus armor to a degree that is a bit silly, and can just sometimes just charge it at it. So I'd still would suggest blowing the health on it a bit, but who cares, I guess. Scots, this is good. I mean, people just get them just have it auto fire. You have to sort of barrage. Again, this is important. Again, forcing people have to use the barrage, have to use the abilities. Having to think a bit rather than just drive up and just murder, because again, we should just get like, people get 2 Scots, drive up and they just flatten your infantry. So I'm liking this. Pack howitzer getting a bit the same though with more scatter. Good. Pack howitzer also a bit on the city side, and white phosphorus there being nerfed as well. Very nice. As it was definitely overperforming against other mortar half-techs like the Wehrmacht's one with its incendiary barrage, which is nowhere near as good and also much more expensive. Pershing there, basically also now requires 9 command points. You have to major out. That's not a huge requirement. So just slightly lower the armor, but buff the health so you can soak up more damage that way. And similarly, it sort of gets the whole AoE changes, though. I don't know if that's actually a buff or a nerf to the Pershing. So the Pershing was already pretty good versus infantry in most cases. So I don't know if this is a huge deal. It might, in fact, but again, it might actually make it better versus infantry, which, well, we'll have to see. And its Veterancy 3 reload is being slightly nerfed, I guess, because it was all really able to just murder stuff there. I don't know. I mean, that's nice, I guess. But overall, don't think there's any issues there. I mean, it just overall makes the Pershing more attractive, and certainly for a lot of players. I don't know if they might make most players now just stick to Pershings now and heavy cavalry, but at least they actually have to tech for it. They can't just stall into it. And then you sort of get time and target. That gets buffed a bit. Rifle Company gets a few buffs there. Basically, no more exhaustion debuff and fire up. Certainly makes chargers there a bit more aggressive. Rifle and flares have been merged with the flamethrower shot, and they get rifle and field defenses like the other doctrines. And of course, Ignites has also been buffed since they also can now lay down mines. So that's interesting. And you get sort of some changes to the paratrooper and the paratrooper support squads. Basically, they're slightly harder to hit, and they, that's basically it. Like, they start out a bit harder to murder. Then we move on to the Wehrmacht, or the Ostheer. Pioneers, basically, the mines we upgrade now gives them slightly extra repair speed. Nice, for those people that like it. Mortars, no. Yeah, this one's just a no. Like, no one uses the counter barrage because it's pointless a lot of the time. Like, it doesn't do anything. I mean, there's not really any incentive to use it because the ability is not very effective. Because most of the time, like, you're going to want to barrage it anyways, because obviously it's going to lock down the mortar from doing other things. Like, just having it at 100, I don't think it's going to make any difference at all. At least you should just replace it with another ability. Like, my personal suggestion, just, give it, like, an airburst shell ability. Like, they have bouncing bombs for the mortar. It's basically just like they had a small smoke charge at the tip of the mortar, so when it hit the ground, it bounce up, and then boom. You could just give like a simple airburst shell ability, like, it might be too good, or incendiary rounds, but just give it something else. Like, the counter barrage ability in the mortar is, quite frankly, utter rubbish. It's like, giving it more range, I don't think is in most cases going to make a jot of a difference. It's just pointless. Much too pointless. Again, like, they need to give it some other ability that actually makes sense, that wants to make people use that ability. Or they could give it the precision strike like the old Soviet mortars had, despite, again, Soviet mortar crews were not known for that. Actually, that was kind of more a German thing, so that could have also been a thing. But what they need to do is just drop counter barrage. It's never going to happen. It's never going to work. There's a lot of reasons for it, but just in most cases, it's just not worth the effort, I think. So just give up, Relic. Give up. I know you want to make it work, but it's just not going to work. So, just shoo. 2-2 there basically gets a slight buff to the machine gun part of it, so it also has slightly better penetration, which is basically meaning it can sort of deal with light vehicles a bit better. I guess. I might be missing something there, but to me at least, it doesn't seem like it makes any real difference. I mean, it's not bad. I guess it might have some impacts here and there, but overall, it just seems a bit like, yeah. Then we move on to the 251 half-track. We would like to make the unupgraded Sonderkraftfahrzeug 251 half-track more integrated into his core support weapon and combined arms gameplay. Nice. It should do that. An increase, if there's a teacher there, just mark it out with a red. In sight range will allow it to spot for team weapons, while in-hold healing will allow the smaller Aussie squads greater field presence. No. If you want to use something with sight range, you'll use the Pioneers instead of the half-track. You might ask why. Well, it's basically because the 251 half-track is a really big target. It's also a really poorly maneuverable big target. Like, it just doesn't going to work for reconnaissance. Honestly, they should also just remove the infantry awareness ability and replace it with something more combined arm-centric. Like, this part, for example, is going to make no difference. Also, they have to, remove from the flame projects. All tells you no. Additionally, having captured troops inside the have to get healing. No. Again, it's too clumsy, it's too complicated, and it's not going to make much of a difference. Like, if you want healing on the front line, you can either use medical kits, or you can use veteran squadrons of medical kits, or build a medic bunker. It's just not very, I think, effective, not very practical. Basically, no. Like, what they need to do is sort of make its actual combat presence more worth it, but again, by supporting units around it more directly. Like, my old personal suggestion would be replacing the Veterans 1 ability, which would, of course, be disabled if you got with the flamethrower upgrade. Like, a bit like what the Command Tiger for the Oberkommando has. Like, it buffs units near it, and when you activate the ability, maybe for a short time, it moves slower, but again, infantry near it, being able to shoot faster, more accurately. That way, boom, like, all of a sudden, you got a bit more combined arms incentive. Another option, maybe, make it less vulnerable, just infantry running out and shooting it to bits, since that's also kind of one of the issues. Maybe buff its machine gun a bit, or maybe give it some light suppression. Just not a lot, but a lot. I mean, people like to say, but damn, that's not going to work. Thing is, the Wehrmacht company who's one half-track had that, and it was never busted, but it did allow you to aid support a bit on the defensive, and the defensive was never good on its own, but just like, combined with other units, the light suppression, like you sort of slightly manage infantry engagements better. Like, I think a lot of people forget some of the good lessons from Camden's ones to focus on the bad ones for some reason. Like, again, half-track was in that sense not amazing, but again, the light suppression allows, again, you just do a bit better and you're supporting other troops and so on. That's what I'd like to see. That would be one option. That, or maybe give it a sort of like additional upgrade besides the flame projector to sort of makes it more combat oriented. Maybe just give it a slight more edge there. Maybe like improvised armor. So just, maybe makes it, so it doesn't become snareable. I don't know, something just, but increasing its line of sight and giving it the ability to heal inside is just pointless. It's not really going to fix anything with the half-track because, again, sight range, you're going to use pioneers, you're going to use 2-2, so no one's going to use the half-track. And similarly, again, remove the infantry awareness because, again, and similarly, no one's going to pop the infantry in there to heal. No, again, it's not a healing oven. It's, it's a transport. Like, give it some more reason to get your troops stuck in there, but not, by actually having them, be good outside of the half-track, near it. Again, combine arms abilities. This, I think, is not going to make a jot of a difference. I don't think it's going to make it particularly more attractive because, again, line of sight, you got much better options. And again, pioneers, you're already going to have them anyways. And again, with this, you're just going to use anything else, I think. I mean, no. It's a nice attempt, but I feel like it just misses a lot. And again, people might actually know me as the guy who uses Stooks a lot, and that's true. But I also like to use half-tracks, and I've used a lot of half-tracks. I was one of the primary half-track users back in Companies 1. I'll definitely say that one is superior in fact to units inside to 5-inch machine guns. Again, that light bit of suppression really was a crucial element. I'd really love to see something like that, or getting a combined arms ability. This, I feel like, at least as a 251 half-track aficionado, is not going to make a real difference. So, yeah, they definitely need to rethink this. They don't necessarily have to be what I suggest, but this is not going to, again, make it more attractive. Panzer grenadiers, they really, and stormtrooper defense, they really want to make this work, don't they? They're really trying hard, like they're buffing its accuracy again and again. They're making it shoot faster now. Wow, they're upgrading the cost. I mean, they really want to make it work, but they're still forgetting, like, at least with this Panzer grenadiers, you've got assault rifles on them. Like, if you want G43s, you're going to use the grenadiers anyways because it's more cost efficient. Like, I think that's really the critical issue they're forgetting there. It's not going to work, Relic. Like, instead, have the Jaeger upgrade, give them infrared assault rifles. That will make so much more sense. Plus, you might actually see someone use them because the Oberkommando West rarely ever use them. Give them to the Wehrmacht instead. They'll love it on their Panzer grenadiers. It'll be a much better upgrade. It'll do so much more good. It'll make Jaeger infantry, lightning roll, and Panzer grenadiers so much more attractive. Just give it up, Relic. It's a bit like counter barrage. You're not going to make it work unless you make it busted. At which point we made it busted, which is not good either. So just drop it. Is my kind advice. Bunker line of sight dropped. Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. Though, I don't know, I mean, at least in one you don't see a lot of bunkers. I don't know, I feel like they should compensate by something. I actually feel like it could maybe make machine gun bunkers a bit harder to kill with some elements, but anyways. Tiger 1, you sort of now acquire 9 command points. Of course, you need to have battle phase 3 research, but still can get out faster that way. In that sense, rewarded for taking. And it actually sort of gets the whole AoE standardization, and it gets less requirements for experience. Hooray! You can actually now hit the veterancy requirements or levels there faster. Hooray! That's good. Again, that's good. Thumbs up. I like this one. Spotting scopes. Delete before they activate. Fair enough. Supply drop. Yeah. Nice. Command tank. Now 7 command points. Fair enough. Fuel cost lower, aura reduction. And I feel like they should just replace it with abilities. Like in all of these auras just end up being silly. Just give it some abilities like mark targets or artillery call-ins or boost dukes or something. Target weak point ability, basically they're just changing names just to avoid confusion. I don't know. I still feel like they need to do something about the Stooks one, but anyways. Moving on to the Soviets. Support and company being made cheaper. Fair enough. Maximum suppress better. Oh, basically can suppress several units better, but versus one it might not quite as well, but yeah, I don't know. It'll work alright, I guess. I'm a bit worried about maximum spam jumping back up because again it is still, reasonably mobile and tough. Conscripts, 7-man upgrade can now be made more available earlier if you sort of get a lot of the upgrades done there, or you have to have the mechanized armor company up Fair enough, I guess. Fair enough. Combat engineers, similar to the pioneers. Repair speed there. Fair enough. Nothing wrong there. AoE ability on the SIS-3 and the Asian-6. Basically, less just murder splat. Though, of course, still effective. Yeah, no. I mean, we'll see. I mean, the problem is, again, is with SIS-3, it just feels very effective with this, so I'm not super sold on this. Guard Rifle, change the name to what confusion, understandable. Hit the dirt, firing positions, good change. At times, it's a bit difficult to explain, like, you know, to some people, well, you know, why are they called hit the dirt similarly? You know, they work different. I mean, that makes sense. Counter assault package, fast available. Fair enough. Could be a bit worrisome with snowballing. And the shock troopers get a more cooldown on the grenades. K1 gets hold down, which basically, you know, immobilizes it. But basically allows you to shoot fast and receive less damage. We'll obviously how that works out. And they basically buffs the machine guns on the same level as the T-34-76, making overall the K1 better. IS-2, basically 10 command punch across the mechanized armor company, becomes notably more accurate. AoE basically gets buffed. Yikes. So the Apex makes it nastier, plus it gains the veterancy ability now instead of capture points, so it gets a fragmentation shell that is hugely AoE and just slaughters infantry. I wish the Tiger could get that. At least something of the ammo could. Partisan troops basically become really good at sort of harassment and gets an ambush bonus and a concussive trap. Yeah, I like this. I mean, Partisans, you know, a fun unit, but they certainly have been lacking something. This could definitely make them much better. Partisan tank hunters, also good. And the KV2 requires 10 command points as well. Nice. And then defensive tactics against the anti-tank Overwatch from NKVD, and tank traps and PDM mines have been, you know, merged together. Makes sense. Overall, I like it. And this against with some of the Wehrmacht stuff, again, I feel like they're just barking up the wrong tree and just, in some cases, need to give up, and then, you know, other ways need to sort of pursue other avenues. But, you know, overall, I like a lot of the changes. I think they're good changes. I just also feel like they need to look into tank guns. I mean, I've talked a bit with some other players about this, but a current strategy that is very popular, again, is we see a lot with the, you know, heavy tank stall, is basically just get two anti-tank guns. Like, just get two anti-tank guns. And you can actually stall out against a lot of stuff, like just a lot of armor suddenly doesn't become very threatening. And I feel like that's, you know, a bit of a problem. Like, it's just too easy to get in some cases to tanks and just stall everything. So I definitely feel like they just need to, like, lower somehow a bit the efficiency of anti-tank guns. One suggestion from Van Asten was to basically lower the rate of fire. And, you know, that makes sense. You know, just lower their rate of fire a bit there. And just other suggestions sort of make it a bit harder than just easily set up so they can't as easily react to being outmaneuvered. Maybe, maybe not, but I do feel like there's something that they want to look at, should want to look at. It's just anti-tank guns and the current level of performance in the game at the moment. Personally, I might just suggest lowering the penetration a bit, since that'll also make heavy tanks a bit more, you know, attractive. Since one reason also heavy tanks just don't see a lot of usage is, again, you get 2 anti-tank guns out, and all of a sudden your heavy tank investment looks a lot less amazing. Like King Tigers, IS-2s, Pershings, Tigers, Panthers, whatever. Like 2 anti-tank guns, and they don't matter as much. Plus, I feel like it would also, you know, because if you sort of, additionally, it would make the pack fodder for them also, in some cases, you know, still be good, because if you lower that one's rate of fire, or, you know, it's going to really just make it easy just the allies to spam tanks and run them. And again, you can't eat the rate of fire, this will deal with larger numbers, but again, by lowering the penetration, you still, you know, help, you know, not just lock down all armor right away, still should make some medium armor still be good, because again, they'll still have a chance to bounce off. But at the same time, again, it just makes heavy armor more attractive, which I feel is like different issues there in some ways. Then again, might be another issue. Again, either of those two solutions I think about. Again, lowering the rate of fire, lowering the penetration, maybe a mix of both. But anyways, I feel like they should probably want to look into anti-tank as well with this patch. But again, you can try it out now. Link is up here, and of course I'll be posting in the comments section as well. We can also find a link where you can donate or pledge on Patreon and support the mighty Propagandacast. But, you know, pop here, and I'm sure they'll be able to, like, discuss stuff elsewhere. You know, be kind and responsive. You know, try and test it out, give Relic some good feedback, and, you know, have fun. So this is the Propagandacast news from the host Imperial Lane, a bit of a more of a Bose report. But I figured to get this out as fast as possible. You know, get my thoughts on it as well. There's certainly again a lot to like, and there's a few things I feel like again that could be improved upon. But overall, I feel like this is heading in a really good direction. So this is Imperial Lane signing off, and hope you enjoyed this little video. And see you all another time. Cheers.